Halito Chimachugma, this is Chief Steve coming at y'all with another episode of True Story. Before we get into it, make sure that you like this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. We are now 500 plus subscribers in the community, so I want to see 500 likes. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, hit that like button, make sure you subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty, y'all. So I know y'all saw the thumbnail and y'all looking at the picture right now. Obviously, we had just came through the 23rd anniversary of the attack, September 11th, that happened in 2001. The terror attack on the World Trade Centers, and that was a pretty interesting day, to say the least. I was around 10 years old when this happened, and I just remembered like that being one of the first major like catastrophes I've ever seen happen like live, as far as on a national level or world level. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody kind of knew where they were and what they were doing at that time. And like I said, being around 10 years old, I really didn't know what was going on, but I kind of did enough to know that, something wasn't right. And I remember the next day, or whenever it was, the next school day, going to this class and, having to do a moment of silence and stuff, and, everybody doing the national anthem and stuff over the PAs and all that stuff. And I remember just it being really devastating for a lot of people, so, and being on the other side of the country in California, you don't really know, how hard it hits until you see it, impacted on a national level, and you see, okay, everybody, this is serious, this is something that is really, that's really changing momentum in this country. So yeah, I understand that, and I get that a lot of people will never forget these things, and they made sure that we won't forget, because they went ahead and built something over it, built a memorial slash a whole nother building structure over the leveled buildings and stuff. And that had me thinking, because what other things have they destroyed and they've built structures over? And knowing what I know now and seeing the things that I see and understanding and overstanding the things that I see today, I realize that there are a lot of things, a lot of structures, a lot of places, a lot of, vital sacred places that was part of our old empire here as ancient Aborigines, as mound builders, as earth workers. A lot of our stuff was destroyed and was literally covered up, and if it wasn't destroyed, it was just built over altogether and just left to be forgotten. So, as the title says, they will never forget, and neither shall we. And a lot of us don't even know to never forget, because this is a lot of his story, or I like to say the true story that has not been told, the true story that has been hidden by history. They made sure that you will never forget these two buildings by erecting a structure along with putting memorials where the old buildings used to stand, in order for you guys to realize that, hey, at one point there was something else here, and there were lives that were lost here, and y'all should never forget this. Yet and still, what has been done for our old ancient empires, for the lives that were lost during our Wall Streets and during our times of nobility, in order for us to never forget. Nothing, little to nothing, So we're gonna get into a couple of TikTok clips that I found that was shared by Nijis all over the land, and we're gonna go deeper into some of those things that were lost in history and understand the true story of the situation, so that we may never forget what we once had, so that we can go forward and build better. If they can do this in a matter of 2 decades, underneath 2 decades, but they're able to reconstruct and build something better in its stead, then we, as the ancient earth workers, as the ancient aborigines, we can build our empire forward. We can build it better. And it all starts with remembering what we once done. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to pause for the cause and we're going to go ahead and get into these clips. All right. Again, y'all, if y'all haven't already, make sure that you like this video. I need those thumbs up. The only way that we're going to get more people to get more eyes on these videos is if they get those thumbs up and you let them know in the algorithm that, hey, these videos are fire. These bombs that are being dropped, y'all need to see them. So hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. And if you're new, like I said, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you'll know whenever I drop these bombs, you'll be the first ones to catch them. All right, let's go.
So I met with archaeologists and they started taking me to these sites. Most of them are on private property. And they had to introduce me to these landowners to try to get permission to actually take these photographs. And I have found these all over the place. They are along just dusty dirt roads, sandwiched between cornfields with a big ancient mound as a sort of traffic circle. Or they are deep in the woods, secluded, sort of like this ancient sacred cathedral in the middle of nowhere. Some of them are in the middle of town. This is in Tallulah, Louisiana, and it actually has a house built on top of it. And this house has a cellar, which is rare in Louisiana, and this cellar goes all the way down inside this earthwork. They have cemeteries built on top of them. They have tool sheds built on top of them. What better place to store your farm equipment than on top of an ancient earthwork?
We know the truth now.
All right, so you see, this is just touching the surface. They have things that are built on top of them, things that you would never really care to even visit or try to, would even know that there was an ancient site there. Like this lady said, she had to get permission to go on private property to get onto these things, and a lot of the people that had these structures built on there probably didn't even know that these structures existed until she came with the geographical proof and everything to explain that. So that's just surface stuff. It gets even deeper, and we're gonna go a little further into it.
This is the Great Mound at River Rouge, the largest mound in the Detroit area. It is said to have been 200 feet long, 300 feet wide, and 20 feet tall. This mound, and all mounds in southeastern Michigan, have long since been flattened and turned into streets and lots. The fair was built on a portion of the former Moses W. Field Farm, which contained a remnant of the Great Mound.
And real quick, when they talk about the fair, they're talking about the world fairs. World fairs are basically things, temporary structures that were built in different major cities or different major areas within the world for people all over the world to come and observe and see the culture and different things that that particular region of the planet, had to offer. So, yeah, they destroyed an ancient ground for a temporary structure. And it gets deeper. We're gonna go forward. I thought I'd just add that in there for y'all.
Property was open to the general public in the summer months before the official opening of the exposition. Visitors were openly encouraged to pillage what was left of the mound. It was reported.
You see that? So people who weren't even from here were welcome to take the remains of our sacred place and take it back to wherever they came from. And that's why a lot of our artifacts and stuff are in different countries and different parts of the world right now, and it's hard to collect them and get them all together, and then they sell them for astronomical prices in order to keep the original people from knowing who they are, if they even know about them in the first place. But let's keep going.
That the walkways throughout the grounds would be less dusty than before because they were to be covered with the great quantity of fine gravel found under the center of one axis of where formerly stood a great prehistoric Indian mound. The destruction of the great mound of the River Rouge was complete. This fair was built on top of an ancient site. This happens very often in history. The new covers up the old in order to skew our understanding or to blur things for the general public who are not awake.
You see that? So you see this is getting deep. It's getting deep and we're not done yet. So we're gonna pause for the cause and we're gonna go, since we're in Detroit, we're gonna stay in Detroit and take things a little higher. All right. All right, once again, y'all, if y'all haven't subscribed yet, y'all liking what y'all see, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so y'all know when more videos like this are popping out. We also do historical books as well, so check out the channel, check out the catalog. We go through it all. And for my people, go ahead, like this button, hit that like button, like this video. Let's get that algorithm pumping and get that information out there for the eyes to see. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward in the presentation. All right, y'all, we're still in Motown, so let's go ahead and get into another clip about Detroit, an ancient civilization.
My crew and I, we went and walked around Detroit even more to see what else was going on. We have the Cathedral of the Most Blessed Sacrament, which is now closed. Now, right in the middle of Detroit's NBA Stadium, NFL Stadium, and MLB Stadium, and more impressive than all three combined, we have this, the St. John's Episcopal Church. And in 1859, it was just too small, of course. So they had to quickly construct this one in 2 years. Simple. Now, remember, Detroit, Michigan is freezing in the winters. They were not able to build anything in the winter months. So knocking this thing out in 2 years is ridiculous. Also, the first one took how long to build? Oh, 1 year? 1858 to 1859? Yeah, why not? Amazing. Clearly, this was here before, and this was the cover-up story. Now, all over Detroit, we have buildings. They have cinder blocks covering the original windows. In my opinion, this is because they most likely had stained glass windows that our civilization has no idea how to fix or maintain. They got rid of them and just put cinder blocks there instead. These windows were perfectly aligned and would have looked incredible. Take a look at this building. Go ahead and share your ideas on this one in the comments below. We have a building underneath this brick. It is clearly hiding something. The original windows barely align with the new brick. So strange. And what is underneath could be even more mind-blowing. Hidden by this brick. I had a lot of fun in Detroit.
You see there, so even there's things out there in the Detroit area and these different ancient places, these ancient grounds where buildings are erect from our old empires that they can't even destroy. They don't even know how to maintain it, you know, so they just build over it, or they turn it into something else, modify it slightly, and then say that they built it on their own, which is complete and utter bullshit. And we know this. But now when you see these different structures, you see these different things, and you think, oh man, where did all this architecture come from? Who came all the way out here to build these amazing things, these amazing infrastructures? Just understand, overstand, and realize that a lot of these structures, these ancient buildings, they are older than what they look, and they have been here way before any colonizer or settler has ever set foot in this area, in this landmass, because we were here first and we built these structures. Okay, so understand that as we go forward and move on to the next video.
Here are a few cities, for example, that were ancient empires that were built over by current cities. Cincinnati, Ohio, an ancient metropolis, built over. Marietta, Ohio, ancient metropolis, built over. Kansas City, another metropolis submerged and built upon. Tulsa, Oklahoma, ancient metropolis. Little Rock, Arkansas, ancient metropolis, built over. Wichita, Kansas, ancient metropolis, built over. Paducah, Kentucky, ancient metropolis, built over. Not on the river exactly, Nashville, Tennessee, ancient metropolis, built over. Knoxville, Tennessee, ancient metropolis, built over. Florence, Alabama, ancient metropolis, built over. Vicksburg, Mississippi, ancient metropolis, built over. Natchez, Mississippi, ancient metropolis, built over. Davenport, Iowa, ancient metropolis, built over. Sioux City, ancient metropolis, built over. Minneapolis, Minnesota, ancient metropolis, built over. And of course, the aforementioned city of St. Louis, constructed over Mound City. East St. Louis was built over Big Mound, and Memphis built over the Chickasaw capital city. But even more secretive than constructing new cities upon the ruins of older civilizations, sometimes it was more feasible to just flood the ruins, and this would serve dual purposes. Dams built for flood control of the river, while simultaneously concealing any evidence of prior habitation under a lake of dammed water.
Like I said, y'all, never forget. Never forget. Realize, understand, and never forget. There's so many cities that were completely destroyed and was built over, and then on top of that, somewhere that were just flooded, like they said. And y'all can do y'all research and y'all can look for these different ancient cities that were flooded, ancient cities that were built over. Because it doesn't stop there. It doesn't. But what is being erected, or what is put in memorial for these ancient grounds? Little to nothing. They just build something completely over it and act as if it never existed. And that's why I say, never forget. All right? Okay. It's getting deep, but we're going to keep going. Pause for the cause. Again, y'all, if y'all enjoying what y'all see, make sure y'all hit that like button. Hit that like button. Make sure that the algorithm knows that you like what you see, so that we can get some more eyes and more views on this channel. And in retrospect, get more members in the community so we can grow and we can build. This is just the beginning. We're just in phase 1 of this channel. So do your due diligence and help us grow. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. All right, let's move forward. Shout out to Brother Darvid for sharing this from his TikTok social media. From this brother here, we know the truth.
We know the truth now here. You think you from Africa, huh? We got melanated Indians on the wall in the museum in Macon, Georgia, with temples on top of mound pyramids, and you think you from Africa, huh? Let's keep going. We got step mound pyramids tore down in Georgia, and you think you from Africa, huh? Let's keep going. We got whole cities with temples on top of pyramid mounds in Georgia, Macon, Georgia, and you think you from Africa. We got Horus, the Birdman ideology, with a fire pit, just like Egyptians, in Georgia, and you think you from Africa, huh? We got pyramid-type structures aligned with Orion's belt in Macon, Georgia, and you think you from Africa. Let's keep going. We got ancient ancestors' bones taken by the government and never shown again, but you think you from Africa, huh? We got ancient irrigation systems just like the Nile River had, but you still think you from Africa. We know the truth now. We know the truth now.
All right, so like the brother said, we got so many ancient things out here that you can't sit there and listen to a foreigner tell you that you from somewhere that you're not. If you know that you from out here and you've never known another place in your life, or your family members have never known another place, you look at your documents, your genealogy, your research, and you see that there has been no documented, and I'm not talking about ancestry DNA, a spit test that tells you a population, region, some kind of proximity, probability that you may be some kind of this from another freaking, I'm talking about hardcore evidence documents with people's names and ties to their nationality and nativity, wherever they were, where they resided at. You don't have anything saying that you're from another place and you know that you're from here. Don't let these people tell you that you're from Africa, because you're buying into the same lie that they use to cover up destroying all of these ancient places and all of our greatness. You are adding to the suppression. When you call yourself black, when you call yourself African American, when you call yourself anything other than what you are, which is an American Indian, which is an American Aborigine, an Aboriginal American, you are taking away and you are suppressing everything that your ancestors have built in the past. And I'm talking about from Tulsa, Oklahoma, all the way back to the Cahokia Mound. You're suppressing all of that, because that is indigenous excellence. That is indigenous greatness. That is who we are. We built these things. This is our stuff. And when you discredit yourself and you misplace yourself and you add in and you buy in and you continue to encourage the deception, you disrespect your ancestors. And you disrespect your future generations by not knowing and telling them the truth. All right, so I'm gonna chill right there, but we gonna keep going though. We ain't stopping. And before I begin this video, special shout out to Collecti73, COLLECTI 73. I do see you in my YouTube post, and I do see you on TikTok, and big ups to this brother. I appreciate you. We linked up, and I told him ahead of time I was going to be using his videos on his TikTok to use them for a presentation. So brother, this is the time. This is what's happening right now. So I really appreciate you. And yeah, big shout out to you. Y'all check out the channel Collecti73 or Collecti73. I'm not sure exactly how to say it. It's COLLECTI 73 on TikTok. And he also has a YouTube. So if you're seeing this, make sure you drop your credentials down in the comments below so everybody can link up with you. All right.
In Freedmen history, we should know. Now, Black Bottom was a black business district in Detroit, Michigan. Its hundreds of black-owned businesses and even a few homes now sit under I-95 and Lafayette Park. Here's the backstory. Now, Black Bottom was the answer to those in Detroit, Michigan suffering from Jim Crow, and it was filled with black prosperity from the early 1900s to the 1960s. Once known as a thriving black area of black culture and entrepreneurship, the area was one of the few places that blacks could go. And blacks began arriving in the 1920s and would swell to about 100,000 as they arrived daily. Now, the area's needs would be met by more than 300 black-owned businesses ranging from drugstores, restaurants, grocery stores, barber and beauty shops, theaters, and more. The area even had its own black-owned newspaper, the Michigan Chronicle. There were also black institutions for the community. For the black elderly, there was the Phyllis Wheatley Home of the Aged, and the Detroit Black Housewives League worked around the community to urge residents to continue to patronize their businesses and help newcomers find jobs. There were also churches like the New Bethel AME Church, headed by Reverend C.L. Franklin. His daughter would become who we now know as Miss Aretha Franklin. The area would be doing just fine until it was declared a slum to make way for the construction of I-95 and what will become parts of Lafayette Park. Black Bottom, everyone.
And I do believe somebody said that I-75 is what ran through Detroit. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not from that area. So if there was a mistake in the video, use your discernment. Yet and still very, very good information. Appreciate Collecti 73. Y'all be sure to check out that channel. Check out that TikTok platform as well. But yeah, if we were able to do it then, we are still able to do it now. And when you denounce your indigeneity, you literally suppress your ingenuity, because that's ancient DNA that we have, that we are able to tap in and recreate, reconstruct, and build better than what we have before. We have the ingenuity, but it's tied to our indigeneity. So tap into your DNA and truly claim who you are. All right? So we're not stopping. We got a few more. We're going to do a few more and then we're going to close out. If we have to do a part 2, then so be it. But I want to get these few videos, these few clips out. All right. So let's pause for the cause. We'll get back into it.
Multi-use building on the site, right? They first of all had to remove a pre-existing structure. And it was well known in the archaeological community that beneath that building there was likely to be some kind of archaeological material. How much, we didn't know until that building was removed. It very quickly became clear that the depth and the horizontal extent and the significance of the archaeological site there was more. To put that in context, this site is older than the pyramids in Egypt. The site is older or as old as some of the very first cities ever built in Mesopotamia. And in context, this site is older than the pyramids in Egypt. The site is older or as old as some of the very first cities ever built in Mesopotamia. And yet, very little is known comparatively about these people who built this site, who lived there hundreds and thousands of years ago, precisely because there hasn't been enough systematic scientific argument.
The mouth of the Miami River, where it meets Biscayne Bay for thousands of years, well before they were probably even known as the Tequesta, but we do know that name was used by the people who lived there when the Spanish arrived in the 16th century. There's only a couple of historical mentions of the Tequesta, so from those we know a tiny little bit about the people. So archaeology has filled in all the other gaps. And unfortunately, because Miami has been built up so much and so early in the history of Florida, we don't really have that much evidence of the Tequesta. Today, the excavation that's going on in downtown is of the capital where most Tequesta people lived, where they traded, where they had ritual and ceremony, where they met visitors from other regions. So it's really our
Y'all be sure to follow that brother on TikTok. But I find it interesting because there's a lot of structures out there right now that are condemned as not being operable. And it's these big, beautiful Miami buildings, Florida buildings that, they make apartments and stuff out of, and different condo homes and, out of these different high-rise buildings. But a lot of them are out of date. They're out of date. They're off code, and they need to be deconstructed. And so it's funny that all of this is happening, and then through the excavation they're finding things and structures and grounds that were hundreds of thousand years old that still has good structure to it, enough for you to even see that it's something that was definitely built over. All right, never forget, people, never forget, our structures are way more stronger than what could ever be built today by these foreigners. Remember that. All right, so let's get into it. Let's go a little further.
Say you've seen Memphis, Tennessee before, but have you really seen it? The one where everything was unbelievable, like this Parthenon here that they built. Of course, they had a pyramid right near it, and lit up beautifully at night. All kind of stuff at the post office and the courthouse. Here's the cotton exchange. And And it was all built by these people here that you see. It's a staggering difference between the buildings and the people. And that's what we see all over the place, in almost every city. There wasn't many old photos, but most of these are from 1880 through 1900. And they're very telling. Very few people for these big buildings. And they're all of the neoclassical style. They're all of this very similar design. Of course, if you ask a historian, they'll tell you it was millionaires and the thousands of laborers.
So yeah, all of these ancient structures that were here way before any settlers ever came. But if you ask any historian, like he said, they would say they were built by millionaires and billionaires at the time, and thousands of laborers. You know, because they will lie right in your face. They will play right in front of your face just to suppress this truth, to suppress this knowledge that we have been here for millennia, and we have built ancient empires that they could not fathom or even try to imitate in any kind of way, which is why they built these things and they destroyed these things and they've built things over it, because they are not the original. They can't do it like us, and nobody does it better than us. But anyway, let's keep on going. Special shout out to We Know the Truth. Y'all be sure to check him out on TikTok as well. It's another one of his clips.
This is Grave Creek Mound, the oldest Indian burial ground in America. Only 1,000 feet away sits the old West Virginia State Penitentiary. Favors a castle, right? People in that area know that castle and those mounds were built together. Ancient artifacts were found there, with ancient writing predicting the stars and astrology. This was built by the Athena tribe. Look at them. We know what kind of people they were. Now ask yourself, why would you build a large jail right outside of a large indigenous Indian mound? Because they didn't build it. Ancient nobility priests were buried at the bottom of that mound, and they also lived in that castle. We know the truth now.
You see? So there are even structures that are here today, like I said, that they have built over, that they have turned into totally different things. And that's what's crazy. You can look these things up, research these things. And he even has some more clips on his TikTok channel. That's why I said shout out to him. Make sure y'all check him out. We Know the Truth. It's a lot of castles that were out here in the Americas, particularly in North America, United States, that were turned into modern day penitentiaries and the state penitentiaries. And West Virginia, West Virginia, that is a perfect example of one of many. And they were so bold to turn it into a prison and keep the mound right there. Didn't even flatten the mound, kept the mound right there, kept everything right there in front of you just to play in your face, just and send us in there to populate it, and then let them know, hey, yeah, y'all was royalty at one point. Now y'all just prisoners of war. Y'all just prisoners. It's an outright play in the face. It's a disrespect. It's a slap in the face. But never forget. Never forget. This is the whole moral of the thing. Don't be triggered. Just remember and never forget. All right. So we're gonna get into one more clip and we're gonna close out. Pause for the cause.
Didn't know they tore a mound down. Didn't know they tore a mound down. My friend, we didn't just tear one sacred mound down in Ohio. We tore down, plowed over, or built over thousands of mounds and earthworks in Ohio. Many people don't realize that Ohio was, and still is, home to the largest concentration of prehistoric landscape architecture anywhere in the world. And many of those sacred earthworks were located in places where Europeans chose to build our cities. So they were removed or built on top of. This is certainly true in the case of cities like Marietta, where some of those earthworks were even used to make the bricks that were later used to build homes and even churches. Circleville was built around and on top of a mound complex. Even Columbus was built on and around a mound complex. That's how Mound Street got its name. In fact, in the early 1800s, there was a massive mound at the intersection of High Street and Mound Street. It was 40 feet tall and approximately 300 feet wide. But in the 1830s, it was decided that the population had grown to the point that mound needed to be removed. And the clay from that mound was used to make bricks that was used to build the first Ohio State House, which later burnt to the ground. So yes, it would make sense that the spirits of this great land might be a bit peeved.
Like I said, y'all, never forget. Never forget. This is something that's been happening, that has happened, and yet they expect all of the respect and honor and, you know, and memoriam for these things that they've built. Yet they show little to no respect and acknowledgement for the things that they've destroyed of ours that was here way before they even came here. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and make enemies. All I'm saying is never forget. They won't forget. They'll never forget. And we should never forget either. All right? So if you stayed with me this long, you're rocking with me, I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I truly cherish y'all. Make sure y'all like that video, like this video, hit that subscribe button, you know, and let's get some eyes on this, man. Let's get some eyes. Let's get some serious views on here. Let's help this channel grow. All right, because we're just starting. We're not stopping anytime soon either. All right, so once again, this is Chief Steve saying Tatakista, I cherish y'all, and Yokoki. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.